Well, I meant to record this before I ran Pathfinder, but honestly, I'm glad I waited until after Pathfinder to run it, just due to my own inability to manage time, really. Um, I almost killed the party. I really almost killed the party with this encounter. And it was just through a combination of the stats, the rolls, and the choices of the players that things got real dicey at the start of the combat and then eventually turned in favor of them. One player basically walked forward into the room as they always do, kind of ahead of the rest of the group on their own, and then got attacked by a bunch of babaus that just materialized. And babaus, for those of you who don't know, are actually pretty nasty to deal with at mid-levels. Because they are fairly durable, they have a lot of defensive options, and then they also have like a lot of damage that goes out, and they can potentially break your weapons. If you use natural weapons, they can potentially deal more damage back to you. And they also, which I ignored for this combat just because it seemed a little too deadly, they have sneak attacks, and had I brought that in, one character would have been dead in the first round of combat. I would have felt bad, but they also are someone who tends to play with a lot of alts in mind, and would have moved on to playtesting a class that I built a long time ago and have never actually had anyone playtest yet, so maybe I should have killed the character. But anyway, things got a little dicey. They made a lot of good choices to recover the situation, and then one player made a really ballsy play to drop a confusion on the enemies, while the paladin, who has very good will save because that's what paladins do, as well as their other saves being pretty decent, they dropped a confusion on the enemies. The enemies failed, and they passed their spell resistance check against the enemies so that they were able to make the spell actually go off, and the paladin succeeded in their save. So the best case scenario basically started playing out. Sorry, I just jerked my hand because I talk with my hands there. The best case scenario came out of that confusion spell, and they were able to slowly and carefully work their way through the combat and succeed. I'm really proud of my players for solving their way through that one. I'm really happy that the encounter actually ended up being that dangerous for them, because I felt like they had not really been getting challenged much with their builds. And this actually forced them to play very tactically. I know I tend to say that I would rather play games that have a little more role play aspect to it, but if there's going to be combat, the combat needs to be interesting, and this one was that. And so it was fun. It was very interesting to run, and it was only 3 creatures versus a party of 5, and it still was actually like challenging for them. So yeah, I gotta remember babaus in the future. I'd overlooked them a lot in the past. But yeah, so be excellent to each other, be excellent to yourselves, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.